Happy Wednesday, first graders! Today is January the 27th in 2021. What are we studying today in science? We will identify the phases of the moon. What are we studying? No, not the sun. The what? The moon. Everybody say that word with me. Ready? Moon. Bravo. The moon has lots of different phases. What are phases? Faces? No, not faces. Phases. Everybody say phases. Nice job. Phases are kind of like faces. Today, you'll draw one. How will we study the phases today? We will watch a video of the different moon phases to illustrate our favorite phase. Which one will you draw today? Your favorite. Why? We will understand the different phases of the moon. Look at my little astronaut Bitmoji. Wow, is that pretty? Have you ever looked at the moon and thought, wow, that's so pretty? Yes or no? Today, we're going to look at all the different phases the moon can be, and we're going to pick and draw your favorite. Let's get started first with our video. Here we go.
It's the brightest and most noticeable object in the night sky. But if you spend
Isn't that pretty?
much time observing it, you will see that the moon is never quite the same from one night to the next. The moon has something we call phases.
Say that word, ready? Phases.
Which means that it appears to change shape a little bit every night. To understand why this happens, we need to talk a little bit about the way the Earth and the moon move together in space. The moon orbits around the Earth, much like the Earth orbits around the sun.
All right, check out here in the center. This is the what? The Earth. Good job. Pretend your fist is the Earth. Show me your Earth. Now, rotating around the Earth, orbiting around the Earth is the what? No, not the sun. The moon. Make your little finger the moon. All right, everybody, we're going to orbit. Here we go. The Earth stays here, and the moon does orbits around the Earth. Is your moon orbiting the Earth? Nice job.
However, while the Earth takes about 365 days to travel once around the sun, 1 year, the moon completes its orbit around the Earth in only 29.5 days.
She said it takes him 29.5 days for the moon to get all the way around the Earth. One full orbit, say the word orbit, takes 29.5 days. Good job.
Or about 1 month.
1 month.
That's actually where the idea of months came from. The time it takes for the moon to complete one orbit around the Earth. And the words moon and month come from the same root. Despite how bright it looks in the sky, the moon does not have any light of its own. It only appears to shine brightly in the sky because light from the sun hits it and bounces off. Just like the Earth, the moon has a day side and a night side, with half of it in sunlight and half of it in darkness at any one time. As the moon travels through its orbit around the Earth, that dividing line between day and night, called the terminator, is visible from different angles, giving the impression that different amounts of the moon are lit up on different days. The cycle of lunar phases begins with the new moon. At new moon, the moon appears completely dark because the unlit side is facing the Earth.
Your first phase that you could illustrate today is called the new moon. It appears all dark in the night sky. Like she said, the moon does not make his own light. Does the sun make his own light? Yes or no? Do the stars make their own light? Yes or no? But the moon does not make his own light. The light we see from the moon is the sun reflecting, shining off the moon. But he doesn't make his own light. So the changes in the phases that we see is how much light is reflecting off our moon. Your first phase is all dark, the new moon. Attentoscopes, keep your eyes open watching for what phase you like best. There's more coming.
New moon is the only time in the lunar cycle when a solar eclipse could happen, because it is the only time that the moon is between the sun and the earth. After a few days, once the moon has moved along a little in its orbit, we can begin to see some of the moon's day side from Earth. What we see is just a thin slice of light called a crescent.
This moon phase is called the crescent moon. Have you ever eaten a crescent roll? They have the same shape. They're skinny, almost kind of like a banana. Here we have the skinny, waxing crescent.
We call it a waxing crescent because waxing means growing. The crescent moon will grow a little bit thicker every night until it reaches the next phase, first quarter.
Check out this phase. Waxing means growing. So we had a banana and it's growing. Now we have the first quarter. The first quarter. It looks like the moon has been cut in half. One side is bright and one side is dark. Here's the first quarter. But we're going to keep waxing, keep growing.
The first quarter moon is sometimes called the half moon because it appears to us that half of the moon is illuminated. But it is called first quarter because the moon is 1/4 of the way through its cycle. As the days pass, the moon continues to grow, soon entering its next phase, the waxing gibbous.
All right, check out the waxing gibbous. We had the half moon chopped in half, but it's still growing. Now we have almost the full moon. We're just missing a little bit more. There's a banana in the dark still. But we're going to keep growing, keep waxing.
Gibbous means humped or swollen.
Humped.
And again, we call it waxing because it grows thicker every night until it reaches the next phase.
What's that phase called? Full what? Full moon.
Full moon.
Oh!
A full moon is the biggest, brightest, and easiest phase of the moon to see. The moon rises at sunset and is up all night, so if you are outside and the sky is clear, it's hard to miss.
It's so bright you can see the details. Look at those. What do you call those big holes in the moon? Craters. Say that word. Craters. Nice. When it's big and bright in the full moon phase, it's easier for us to see the crater details.
And is up all night, so if you are outside and the sky is clear, it's hard to miss. The moon is halfway through its orbit around the Earth and is now on the opposite side of the Earth from the sun. During a full moon is the only time that a lunar eclipse can happen, because that is the only time that the Earth's shadow could fall on the moon. As the moon continues in its path, it appears to shrink again as we begin to see more and more of its dark side.
Now that we did waxing all the way, we grew up to the big full moon. Now that it's full, we're starting to wane. Waning means we're shrinking. Here we go. We're getting smaller.
A few days after the full moon, the moon will be a gibbous again, but this time it's a waning gibbous.
After the full moon, we're back to the gibbous, the hump stage, but we're not waxing anymore. We're not growing bigger now. We're shrinking. So it's a waning gibbous. It's missing the banana still, but it's getting smaller and smaller each day.
Waning means shrinking or getting smaller, and so the moon will be waning for the rest of its orbit. The next phase is another half moon, but this time it's called third quarter.
Another half moon? He's chopped in half, but not the first quarter. Now we're in the third quarter, where the left side is bright and the right side is dark.
Or sometimes last or final quarter, because the moon is 3/4 of the way through its orbit. Soon the half moon shrinks into a waning crescent, which will continue to shrink night after night until it vanishes completely.
Before he vanishes completely, he shrinks from the half moon to that banana. He's a skinny banana, shrinking more until, poof, it disappears. But did he really disappear? No.
Into the next new moon. Big and bright and beautiful. Different every night, but repeating the same cycle over and over. The moon is one of the best objects in the sky to observe, especially for someone just getting started. The next time you look up and see the moon in the sky, take a moment and see if you can identify which phase of the moon you're seeing, and try to figure out which one will come next.
Tonight, I want you to look up at the moon and see if you can identify which phase are we in right now. A crescent, a half, a gibbous that's swollen, a full, or a new. But right now, it's time to draw your favorite. Take one more look. Where's your favorite
Full.
phase?
Different every night, but repeating the same cycle over and over. The moon is one of the best objects in the sky
Full.
to observe.
Gibbous, half, crescent, or new moon? Do you have a favorite? It's time to draw! Get yourself ready. Take out your crayons. Take out your pencil and your journal. 1, 2, 3, ready, Freddies. Meet me on video 2, and let's get started.